Ladies and gentlemen, our country is looking to improve its human resources so that the role of the school is felt to take a big role in making this successful. But on the other hand, is the current school system effective in fostering students? Why do many students feel pressure nowadays and some students even commit suicide? This is because school today classifies students based on age and not in terms of ability, which cause students to struggle so that they can be on par with their parents and also the demands of parents. Even though age doesn't determine psychological maturity and intelligence, every child has different abilities and talent. For example, there are children who have academic abilities that are faster than their peers. There are also children who have slower abilities such as not being able to read when they are 18 years old compared to their friends who can read fluently by at the age. This difference in ability is natural because every human being has their own strengths and weaknesses, and every children has different talents. Therefore, the way we are now is to make decisions to educate these children even better without forcing something that is not according to their abilities. And that why is to group children not based on age, but based on ability and intelligence. Based on this background, I agree with the today motion that is this house would abolish primary and middle school years that groups children based on age and instead group them by competency and intelligence. And before that, I will give you the definition and limitation. So that primary school is a school for children from the age of about 5 to 9 or an elementary school. And the middle school is a school for children between the age of about 10 and 14. And then age is the period of time someone has been alive or something has existed. And then competency is about skill, talent, and ability, and the intelligence is the ability to learn, understand, and make a judgment or have opinions. And we limit this debate only in Indonesia, and school refers to primary and middle school. So now I will give you the urgency of this motion. That this motion is very important to be approved because by agreeing this motion can benefit more able children and also benefit less able children. Like, this is because children with more ability will learn according to their abilities and they will not get bored with the same lesson. And a children with low abilities, he will not be pressured if he has to follow a children with more abilities. For example, if an 8 years old children cannot read, even though his friend can, he will definitely will feel pressured and find it difficult to keep up with the abilities of his friends. Especially for elementary school children, this can make them feel inferior and not confident in expressing their opinion. So by grouping classes based on the ability of good is good for weaker and good for fast learner. And then as justification, I would like to tell you that age doesn't determine psychological maturity and intelligence, but everyone has abilities that can be used as a benchmark to determine whether a person is able to understand a material or if the material will burden him. So if we use ability as a basis, student will not be burdened with the material of a lesson. Thus we can create a more directed learning process. And then the goal here is to create student well-being. As a future implication, I would like to tell you that we can create an accelerated class where students who have more abilities will first go to class and graduate so they can process to the next stage, like for example, like university. So by having an earlier time to enter the university, it will make him to learn more and carry out experiments or findings like more give him time to study compared to if he went to university at a normal age. The time he will have later to develop abilities will be less because he also have left to another thing. Okay, here I would like to tell you about the stances that an argument why I agree with this motion. So the first thing first, people who have more abilities will be hampered if they don't get a stimulus to continue to develop according to their level. An example is when a student can read fluently and can understand a text well, but his classmates are still learning to read. He who can already read will definitely feel bored studying in the class. In addition, this can lead to feeling in student that I can already do that. I don't need to learn that thing anymore. So this can hinder the ability of the student because the student classroom environment doesn't support the student in improving their abilities. So what happened in the student is stuck with the existing learning process. And thus this motion is very important to be realized in order to hone student abilities to be better according to their level of intelligence and to increase motivated to learn. And the second point is people who have less ability if forced to study in a class according to age and not ability, will experience psychological disorders such as anxiety, inferiority, fear, low self-esteem, and so on. This is because he feels that he is stupid, or he feels that he is less than his friends or something like that. So this can cause him to be more closed, like, and not confident to answer questions in the class. Even the worst thing that can happen when someone is very, very depressed is that it can lead to suicide. So that is really important. And they do this because they are no longer able to understand the lesson, feel inferior to friends who have more ability, and so on. Besides that, usually people who have less ability will seek attention in other ways, such as seeking attention with mischief. The impact is he does this is to disrupt the learning process, and he is labeled as a naughty child. And now we have to be concerned about the teachers here. So teachers will find it difficult to manage classes that have different abilities. For example, here they are in grade 1, for example. So there are children that cannot read yet, and the teacher will definitely feel confusing about this in teaching method. Well, so teacher maybe have to focus on the student that cannot read, and maybe you have to leave the material that should be taught, or maybe the teacher have to continue with other material, but they are still, but it's not really concerned about the teacher, but the student that cannot read. So that this is like the issue for the teacher, and this is like to burden the teacher, which one that the teacher has to decide to still continue the material and leave the student that cannot read, or just focus on on the student that cannot read, but the material not being teaching. So that if this happens, so the children if the teacher just focus on the children that are the student that cannot read, so the other student that already can read, or it can be bothered and is not good for there. And if the teacher just focus on the next material, so that you know that the children that cannot read will feel like under pressure, and they feel it's really hard to join the next material. And then this is why the class division is good for is good to classify the class between competency and intelligence, not based on age. So that in closing, I want to tell you that this motion is really urgent to agree with, and I agree with this motion that this House would abolish primary and middle school years that group children based on age, and instead group them by competency and intelligence. And that's all from me. That's I beg you to oppose. Thank you.